I married a man I thought was perfect. I had no idea he was hiding a life that could destroy us both. His name was Daniel Hayes, American, from Boston. Tall, calm, with eyes that seemed to understand more than I ever said. I first met him in a quiet cafe in Osu, Accra. The smell of roasted coffee beans mixed with the hum of conversations. He was reading a tablet, completely unaware of me staring from across the room. I remember thinking, this man, he doesn't belong here, but I can't look away. Our conversation started over a spilled coffee. I apologized. He smiled. It was small, ordinary, but it felt like fate. We talked for hours about books, about life, about Ghana. He listened when I spoke, not politely, not distracted. He really listened. I felt a calm I hadn't felt in years. Months passed. We laughed, walked along the Volta River, shared quiet dinners. I thought I knew him completely. Then he proposed. A simple ring, a gentle question. My heart said yes before my mind could even think. Our wedding was small, intimate, perfect. Friends, family, the soft beat of drums in the background. I believed in perfection. But I was wrong. Even then, shadows of his past lingered. A phone call he silenced too quickly. A name he said too casually. Documents left open on his laptop just for a moment. Little things that didn't make sense yet. I ignored them. I told myself, he's a good man. Everyone has a past. But deep down, I knew something was coming. Something that would test everything I believed about love and about trust. And I had no idea how soon that truth would arrive. Married life began like a soft dream. Daniel was attentive, patient, careful. I felt safe, almost too safe. We shared quiet mornings in our apartment in Accra, the city buzzing below, and evenings in our small garden, watching the sky turn orange and pink. I thought perfection meant peace. But peace is never complete. It carries whispers of what you refuse to see. The first time I noticed it, it was small. A phone call he ended abruptly. No one important, he said. I believed him. The second time, I found papers on the kitchen counter, covered just enough that I could see names, numbers, connections I didn't understand. I didn't ask. I told myself, it's nothing. He's just private. And yet, each small secret pulled at the edges of my trust. Each quiet omission whispered, something is hidden. Be careful. Sometimes I caught him staring at me, as if measuring my reactions. Not suspiciously, not coldly, but like someone who knows he carries a weight too heavy to share. And each time, my heart twisted. Not from fear, not entirely, but from the strange pull of love mixed with uncertainty. We laughed, shared meals, and spoke of dreams. Yet behind the smiles, a tension lingered. I felt it, and I wondered, how long before the truth comes out? One evening, he kissed me softly before leaving for work. Good night, he said, brushing a stray hair from my face. I wanted to believe everything was fine. I wanted to ignore the small doubts. But that night, lying in bed, I felt the truth hovering over us, silent and patient. I didn't know it yet, but the cracks in his perfect mask were already growing, and soon they would be impossible to ignore. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon. Sunlight poured through the apartment windows as I moved around the living room, putting books back on the shelves and folding the blanket we had left on the sofa after watching a movie the night before. Daniel had stepped out for what he called a quick meeting. I wasn't expecting anything unusual. As I carried an empty coffee mug into the kitchen, I noticed something that made me stop. His laptop. It was sitting on the kitchen counter, still open. Daniel never left his laptop open. Never. I told myself to walk away, to respect his privacy. But something about it felt different. On the screen was a folder. It wasn't hidden. It wasn't locked. It was simply there, almost as if someone had forgotten to close it. Curiosity got the better of me. I stepped closer. My fingers hesitated above the touchpad before I finally clicked. The screen filled with files, company names, financial reports, contracts, emails, transfer records. The more I read, the tighter my chest became. Names I had seen only briefly before. Documents I thought I had imagined. They were all connected. Connected to Daniel. Connected to a part of his life he had never told me about. A cold chill ran through my body. I wasn't looking at ordinary business files. I was looking at the reason he had been living with secrets. Before I could process what I had found, I heard the front door open. Daniel was home. His footsteps echoed through the apartment. "Amma," he called gently. "I'm home." I didn't answer. I remained standing in the kitchen, the laptop still open in front of me. A few seconds later, he walked into the room. The moment his eyes landed on the screen, he froze. The smile on his face disappeared. Neither of us spoke. The silence between us felt heavier than words. Slowly, he looked from the laptop to me. I searched his face for an explanation, for denial, for anything. Instead, I saw something I had never seen before. Fear. Real fear. Finally, I broke the silence. My voice was quiet, almost shaking. "Did you know about this before we got married?" Daniel closed his eyes for a brief moment. His shoulders dropped. When he looked at me again, there was no escape in his expression. Only regret. Yes. That single word shattered something inside me. I swallowed hard. "You knew, and you still married me?" He took one careful step forward. "I wanted to tell you." His voice cracked. I tried so many. Daniel opened his mouth, but no words came out. He looked away. His hands trembled. The silence stretched between us. Finally, he spoke. "If I tell you everything, there's a chance you'll never look at me the same way again." Tears filled my eyes. I could barely whisper. "Then maybe I never truly knew you." Daniel lowered his head. For the first time since I had met him, he had no answer. Night fell over the city. The apartment that had once felt warm and peaceful now felt unfamiliar. Daniel remained standing near the kitchen. I sat quietly in the living room, unable to stop thinking about everything I had discovered. Hours passed. Neither of us knew how to cross the distance that had suddenly appeared between us. At last, Daniel broke the silence. His voice was barely above a whisper. No more lies. I'll tell you everything. Every mistake. Every secret. Everything I've been trying to protect you from. I looked at him. My heart wanted answers, but I wasn't sure I was ready to hear them. Because sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes it changes your life forever. And I was about to discover just how dangerous Daniel's past really was. The apartment was silent. Neither of us had slept. The sunrise painted soft golden light across the living room, but it did nothing to warm the heaviness between us. Daniel sat across from me, his coffee untouched. He looked exhausted. Not from a lack of sleep, but from carrying a burden for far too long. Finally, he took a slow breath. You deserve the truth. I've hidden it long enough. His hands trembled as he spoke. Before I came to Ghana, I worked for one of the largest investment firms in the United States. I believed we were helping businesses grow. I believed everything we were doing was legal. His eyes fell to the floor. But I was wrong. Daniel's voice became quieter. My department approved international investment projects. On paper, everything looked legitimate. But behind the reports, money was being moved through fake companies. Entire communities lost their savings. Small businesses collapsed. Families lost everything. I stared at him in disbelief. You were part of it? His eyes immediately filled with regret. I didn't know at first. When I discovered the truth, I tried to stop it. I reported what I found, but the people responsible were powerful. They destroyed the evidence and made me the one everyone blamed. I could hear the pain in every word. For the first time, his silence finally made sense. I resigned. I left America. I came to Ghana because I wanted to disappear. I wanted a second chance. When I met you, a small, broken smile crossed his face. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe again. You made me believe life could begin again. He looked directly into my eyes. I never lied about loving you. That part was always real. The only lie was pretending my past could never find me. A tear rolled down my cheek. I believed he loved me. But love didn't erase what had happened. Before either of us could speak again, Daniel's phone vibrated on the table. He looked at the screen. Every trace of color disappeared from his face. I had never seen him look so afraid. Slowly, I asked, "Who is it?" He didn't answer. Instead, he turned the phone toward me. The message contained only one sentence. "We know where you are. Running is over." A second message arrived almost immediately. "This time, your wife pays the price." My heart stopped. Daniel stood so quickly that his chair crashed onto the floor. They found us. His voice was barely a whisper. I thought we still had time. I looked at him, then back at the phone. In that moment, I realized something terrifying. Daniel's past wasn't over. It had just arrived at our front door. I couldn't take my eyes off the phone. The message remained on the screen, like a warning that refused to disappear. This time, your wife pays the price. My hands began to shake. I looked at Daniel. What does this mean? He ran both hands through his hair, pacing across the living room. It means they know where we are. They know about us. They've been watching. A chill ran down my spine. Who are they? Daniel stopped walking. The people I tried to expose. The people who destroyed innocent lives. They don't forgive. Betrayal. His voice was calm, but I could hear the fear hidden beneath every word. For the first time since we met, Daniel looked like a man who believed he might lose everything. Without wasting another second, Daniel walked through the apartment, locking every door and checking every window. He pulled the curtains shut. The peaceful home we had built suddenly felt like a prison. "What are you doing?" I asked, making sure no one can see inside. I watched him carefully. This wasn't panic. It was experience. He had done this before. That realization frightened me even more. "You've lived like this before, haven't you?" He nodded slowly. "For months, I changed cities. I changed jobs. I even changed countries. I thought coming to Ghana would finally give me peace." He looked around our home. "I never imagined they'd follow me here." The room fell silent. Neither of us knew what would happen next. Just as Daniel reached for his phone to make a call, the lights went out. Everything became dark. The only sound was the slow spinning of the ceiling fan as it came to a stop. I instinctively moved closer to him. "Daniel!" Before he could answer, someone knocked on the front door. 3 slow knocks. Then silence. Knock. 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 Neither of us moved. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. The knocking came again. This time louder. Daniel slowly stepped in front of me, shielding me with his body. He whispered, "Stay behind me." I nodded, unable to speak. Then, the knocking stopped. Complete silence. For several long seconds, nothing happened. The electricity suddenly returned. The lights flickered back on. Daniel cautiously walked toward the front door. He looked through the peephole. No one was there. Slowly, he opened the door. The hallway was empty. The only thing lying on the floor was a small brown envelope. He picked it up carefully. There was no address, no stamp, only his name written across the front. inside, there was a single photograph. It showed Daniel and me sitting together in our garden just 2 days earlier. Someone had been watching us. Written across the back of the photograph were 6 chilling words. "You should have stayed silent, Daniel." I felt the blood drain from my face. This wasn't just a threat anymore. Someone was close enough to watch our every move, and whoever they were, they wanted us to know that nowhere was safe. I couldn't sleep. The photograph lay on the coffee table between us, a silent reminder that someone had been watching our lives without us knowing. Morning arrived, but neither of us felt relieved. The fear from the night before still lingered in every corner of the apartment. Daniel looked at me with tired eyes. "I've been running for years," he said quietly. "I thought if I stayed ahead of them, the danger would disappear." He shook his head, but running only gave them more power. I listened without interrupting. Then I reached for his hand. "So, what do we do now?" He took a deep breath. We stopped running. For the first time in days, there was certainty in his voice. Not confidence, but determination. That afternoon, Daniel contacted the authorities in both Ghana and the United States. He handed over every document he had kept, every email, every financial record, every piece of evidence he had hidden out of fear. "I should have done this years ago," he admitted. "It may not erase the past, but maybe it can stop someone else from suffering." Weeks passed. Investigators began reopening old cases. Former executives connected to the fraudulent investment network came under renewed investigation. Some were arrested. Others fled before they could be questioned. The truth that had remained hidden for years was finally coming into the light. For the first time, Daniel no longer carried his burden alone. Life didn't return to normal overnight. Trust isn't rebuilt in a single conversation. Some days, I still questioned everything. Some nights, Daniel woke from terrible dreams, haunted by the people who had lost everything because of decisions he had once helped approve. Healing came slowly, one honest conversation at a time, one act of patience at a time, one choice to believe in tomorrow at a time. We planted new flowers in the little garden behind our apartment. It seemed like a small thing, but every new bloom reminded us that broken ground could still produce something beautiful. For the first time since our marriage began, hope felt stronger than fear. Months later, Daniel and I stood together in that same garden where we had once dreamed about our future. The evening sky glowed with shades of orange and gold. He slipped his hand into mine. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "not just for what I hid, but for making you carry the weight of my past." I smiled through tears. I can't change yesterday, neither can you. But together, we can choose what tomorrow looks like. He pulled me into a gentle embrace. In that moment, I understood something I would never forget. Love isn't about finding someone without scars. It's about finding someone willing to heal beside you. Our story didn't begin with perfection. It merely ended because of secrets. But it survived because truth finally found its place between us. And sometimes, the strongest marriages aren't the ones that never break. they are the ones that find the courage to rebuild. Moral lesson. Secrets may protect us for a little while, but they can never build lasting trust. Honesty, accountability, forgiveness, and the courage to face the consequences of our past are what allow relationships to grow stronger. Real love is not about perfection. It is about choosing truth, even when the truth is difficult. If this story made you feel something, whether it was hope, suspense, or heartbreak, don't let it end here. Leave a heart in the comments so I know you are watching with me. And if you love stories that stay with you long after they are over, become part of our storytelling family by subscribing. There's always another unforgettable journey waiting for you.